I've never felt power like this before.
X-Men Apocalypse was released in 2016 and was directed by Bryan Singer, and of course has James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Nicholas Hoult all returning to reprise their roles. It also has Oscar Isaac as the said Apocalypse, En Sabah Nur, and he is a ancient and powerful, considered the first mutant, and he returns to present day to take over the world. Now, this film introduces Alex Summers' brother Scott, who's Cyclops, of course. It was also good to see Alex Summers' Havoc back in this as well. It also introduces Jean Grey. You have Jubilee there, which once again gets shafted. But unfortunately, Cyclops in this film is also reduced to being a little punk bitch, just like he is in a lot of other films, and especially in Dark Phoenix, he's a little crybaby sissy. Now, Cyclops is a badass character and he keeps being shafted. I don't know why. He is so cool. And this film does commit one heinous crime, but did get a really bad rap from a lot of people when it was released, and still does. I don't think this is a bad film. I actually quite enjoy X-Men Apocalypse, and I think it's actually really cool. Now, there are several things in it that do feel a little undercooked. Like, for example, Apocalypse is terribly underutilized. I think he looks fine, he sounds cool, he sounds a lot better than he did in the trailers, and he also looked like Ivan Ooze from Power Rangers movie in the trailers too, so I'm glad they made him more blue than purple. But I don't think the writers... the story was done by Bryan Singer and Simon Kinberg. Once again, I don't think they truly knew what to do with him, because he kind of comes back, recruits his Four Horsemen, which is Storm, which she is portrayed very well in this film. He gets Magneto, and we get some awesome scenes with Magneto. We get Angel, and Angel does look really cool and has a really awesome fight with Nightcrawler, and I'm really glad that we had Nightcrawler back in this film as well. It's so cool. And we also have Olivia Munn as Psylocke, and she does a really good job as Psylocke, and Psylocke is terribly underutilized. She did not return in Dark Phoenix because of conflicts of just scheduling. Basically, she wanted to come back, but she couldn't. And unfortunately, the Four Horsemen themselves, Storm, Magneto, Angel, and Psylocke, don't really do a lot until the end of the film. They just kind of stand there looking menacing, and that is the biggest problem. There's a lot of really cool stuff, especially using Metallica over Angel's scene when Apocalypse comes. That and it's obviously the song Four Horsemen from their Kill 'Em All album. That itself is badass and awesome. Once again, Magneto's trying to be a good guy, but he gets shafted. This film does take place in 1983, so 10 years after the events of the past in Days of Future Past. Everyone's aged quite well, I have to say. Especially Charles and Eric, they're aging very, very well. Now, Jennifer Lawrence in this film is full Jennifer Lawrence. I think she started to lose interest in the X-Men series, obviously, when she got more and more famous by doing the Hunger Games movies and everything else. I think she just kind of hated the blue makeup, and so, well, why did you go for the role of Mystique if you hated the blue makeup? But she just is more often than not just looking like herself in this film. They give some reason as to why, because Mystique is now seen as a hero, but I don't really buy it. I also I would have liked there to have included, now I know it's been retconned multiple times in the comics, but Kurt Wagner, who is Nightcrawler, is the son of Mystique and Azazel. I think that is blatantly obvious, but I think they should have done something with that. It would have been really, really cool. Once again, like the comic accuracy of Psylocke's and Magneto's, but also Angel's costumes is really cool. Storm's is okay. I don't know why Apocalypse felt the need to redress his horsemen. It seemed a bit weird, but there you go. It's like I said about, like, Oscar Isaac does a good job as Apocalypse, but I think in stature he should have been bigger. He should have been taller than everybody else, and should have been maybe CGI'd like Thanos and just been a little bit more imposing. Of course, Apocalypse can also change his size. He does that in like a mind fight with Charles Xavier, but doesn't do it in the real world, which is a shame. We do get some more awesome Quicksilver. We get a couple of really cool Quicksilver scenes in this one, and you know, it's always great to have Evan Peters portray Quicksilver. There's also a very awesome Weapon X scene. I don't think it's a secret anymore, but Hugh Jackman is in one scene in this film where the kids get taken by William Stryker to Alkali Lake, to the Weapon X facility, and Jean Grey unleashes Wolverine, and he gets unleashed, and it is awesome, and he just absolutely annihilates people, looking like he does in the comics when he does escape the Weapon X program, which was really cool. There is a lot of good action, but I don't think there's enough action, in all honesty. There's not enough, and I think that's also a problem that plagued Dark Phoenix, is they're trying to go a bit more artsy-fartsy in the story, and they forgot to put in a lot more cool action. There should have been multiple fight scenes with the Horsemen, not just one at the end. Don't get me wrong, the fight at the end is pretty cool, but just not as good as it should have been, if that makes sense. Like, overall, the story is fine, you know. Apocalypse comes back, wants to take over the world, rid it of humans, because he thinks the weak have inherited the earth, and he notices Charles Xavier, and of course because his Apocalypse's consciousness gets put into the bodies of different mutants, and he just keeps accruing powers as he goes. He wants Charles's power so he can just control every mind on the planet. The X-Men got to stop him, but I think they could have done more action-wise and just made it a little bit more interesting than Apocalypse just, you know, teleporting from place to place, fast traveling to get his Horsemen, and then standing there outside of Cairo looking over the pyramids. It just seemed a little bit bizarre. This film's biggest heinous crime was teasing the best costumes in X-Men film history at the end of the film. They looked great. Even Mystique, sort of, kind of, they were going for what she looked like in the comics. Cyclops looked great. Nightcrawlers with the red at the sides looked awesome. All they had to do was give him a sword. But then I was very depressed to see in X-Men Dark Phoenix they did not use those costumes, and that is just an absolute crime against comic book lovers. But overall, I think it's actually quite a good film, and it is definitely worth a watch, especially if you're watching through the X-Men films like myself. It's not as bad as everybody is making out it is. It got good reviews from like reviewers and stuff, but a lot of YouTubers and a lot of fans really shat on it. Now, 2016 was supposed to be the golden year, because we were getting Captain America Civil War, X-Men Apocalypse, and Batman vs Superman in the same year, over this like 3-month period, and unfortunately only one of those films is epic, and we all know which one that is. Not to say that the other two are not epic. I still think they're good, they're just not as good as they could have and should have been. But please let me know in the comments down below what you think of X-Men Apocalypse, and as always, thank you very much for watching.
What is it?
Oh, God.
He can control all of us.